Hello, everybody. Are you there? Can you hear me? Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Finally got y'all admitted to the room. Just check in. Let me know you're here.
I'm here. This is Steve.
Hey there.
Okay, Elaine here.
Hello, Elaine.
Hi, Elaine.
Howdy.
So, any things that happened to you so far in the detox, Elaine? Things you've been doing? Questions you may have?
No, I'm pretty much here, I guess, today just for listening. In that yesterday I went and had my LRA blood drawn, and I did not get back home until the afternoon. So today I'm starting with the detox.
Very good. Well, good. You'll have those LRA results at least for the last 2 weeks of the detox, and you can fine tune your foods for sure, and then we'll be able to identify any other things that are posing a problem.
I am so much looking forward to that. Uh, I had mentioned to the group that I wake up 3 to 10 times during the night, and I'm always in pain every night and cannot sleep horizontally through the night. However, Sunday I did uh, a fasting in that I drank chicken broth and I ate about 1 cup of mixed cooked vegetables, sauteed vegetables, and that was a great awareness in that. Um, that night, I think that was Sunday night, I had the best sleep that I've had in weeks or maybe a few months, and um,
Wow.
and it also enlightened me to the fact that maybe I'm having a food reaction to almost everything I put in my mouth. So
What would a typical dinner be like for you
uh,
normally?
normally, uh, I have an acquaintance who drops by my house typically 5 days a week, and we'll go out to a restaurant, and I'll eat the safest thing I can, and that's my only meal of the day other than my smoothie. And uh, and so a healthy would be like I think it was yesterday we went to the Olive Garden, and I did their soup and salad, and it did not cause near as much discomfort as what some other meals are, which might very well be uh, fish,
Yeah,
luby.
the salad dressing that they use at Olive Garden is got sugar in it, and the oils in there are not really good. So we stopped going to Olive Garden many years ago, just knowing we had to look for a restaurant that had more pure oils. Have you ever been to Zoe's Kitchen? Do you have one near you?
Uh, I've
For
been
us, a lot.
I've been to one. However, I will say this that um, uh, it's the money thing. It's the money thing. Uh,
Well, how much was your meal at Olive Garden?
well, for two it was $24. We both had the soup and salad.
I think soup and salad at Zoe's is about that as well. Not to mention, if you want to have a better quality meal, the vegetables are there are better. The salad dressings are much purer, and you can get, for example, for $15, you can get for one person, you can get meats added to it if you want to have fish or chicken. I usually like to have their salmon kebab. So I feel the difference when I eat at a place like Zoe's versus other places where you're going to be getting into hydrogenated oils in their dressings, unless you go with the straight olive oil and just have vinaigrette with it or vinegar with it.
Thanks, Steve, for sharing a little bit on that. I wanted to real quick before we move on, just make sure everybody can hear and that everybody is able to check in. I see, we were hearing from Elaine and Steve. I see Maritza here. Are you there, Maritza? All right. I see a thumbs up there. Looks like Pam and Stella. I see y'all there. Hello. And then I've got a 346-268-2967 number. Who is that?
That's Steve. That's Steve Lilly.
Hey, Steve. Welcome on the conference. All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, so we got kind of 4 things that Steve and I are going to go through that we talked about going through today. We're going to talk about a little bit about the difficulties that come along when you're going through a detox. And then we'll get into some strategies on the menu planning side as well as the exercise side. So we'll talk about those a little bit. And then we'll also discuss a little bit on meal replacement powders. We'll talk a little bit about how valuable those are and how you can use those during the detox. So the difficulties that come along, obviously we were just hearing Elaine and Steve discuss one of the difficulties. It is challenging to adjust your menu, right? To take out certain things in your lifestyle that maybe were comfort foods or foods that are obviously just very sweet or strong tasting foods that you're maybe having less of. And so that is a clear challenge that I imagine, y'all are, if you haven't noticed yet, in the next few days, you kind of start to feel it more. So Steve, do you have any comments on that point that I was just making there on that?
It is, if you're not providing your own food for this process, you're going to run into the biggest difficulties. Just as I mentioned when we talked in the meeting last Friday, that we used to go to a restaurant and then everybody had headaches in the afternoon, and you're going to have different difficulties because of a lot of impurities that these restaurants cook with. So you got to be like this investigative individual when you go into a restaurant, know what oils are cooking in, what kind of spices they're using, do they use MSG, and just know what you're getting into so that you don't inhibit the benefits of detox, and not just for this process and this time, but afterwards, to live this health and continue on to grow and get stronger, be healthier, and not have the aches and pains and inflammation that we constantly run into in our chemical world.
So on that, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
We went shopping. I'm sorry. Amy and I went shopping. I wanted to finish with this. We went to HEB and spent $350 stocking up on dried beans, on vegetables, on frozen fruits, on whole meats. We had turkey and chicken breast and chicken thighs and fish. We froze a bunch of fish in the freezer, and So and I tried to throw in the bag, a healthy bag, or in the shopping cart, a healthy bag of cauliflower pretzels that were made with just cauliflower and sea salt. And my wife said, "We are not buying anything that's a processed food." And I go, "Oh, okay." So Whole Foods, when you get in that lifestyle, it feels so good. We've had 3 days so far. We started on Sunday, and absolutely, Amy had a tough time the first day, but I've just been feeling so much better every day. Really see the difference.
It's great. Thank you, Steve. So getting specific here, you all should have received a foods to avoid list during the detox. I'm going to go through it real quick and brief right now. Sugars is at the top of the list, right? Refined sugars. That includes sucrose, high fructose corn syrup, and dextrose containing products. So you got to read labels. That's definitely one of the habits that's good to get into when you're starting to make healthy lifestyle changes, not just for 30 days, but also continuing on in your life, getting really good at identifying things on labels. You want to avoid any artificial sweeteners, of course. Agave and stevia are healthy options. And then, of course, fresh fruits and fresh fruit juices are preferred for sweeteners. Then we get into processed foods, obviously chips, candies, cookies, crackers that are not whole food crackers. There's a type of cracker that, from what I can tell from the ingredients, seems to be a good option. I don't know if you all have heard of them. They're called Mary's crackers. Those seem to be really good, very tasty. We've enjoyed a couple of those today. And then choose nuts and seeds as a healthier option, obviously, to process snacks. There's a lot of different types. We'll go into just a minute. We'll get into the food effects chart. Those of you who are on the phone, we're kind of looking at the 30-day detox program and the foods to avoid list right now.
Okay.
And then the
Hey,
third,
Jason,
yes.
can I make a quick comment about the nuts and seeds? We bought raw nuts and seeds, and then we gently bake them, and we drizzle our own healthy oil on there. Either avocado oil is what Amy uses, and then salt them with our own Himalayan sea salt. Most of what you're going to buy, you got to watch the label on those nuts and seeds. If they're roasted and salted, you may be getting into roasting oils like soybean oil and other things like that. So the raw is best. Warm them yourself and then add salt and drizzle them with oil, and you'll like them better. They taste better, they taste fresher, and they're absolutely delicious.
Steve, when you say warm the nuts, what temperature and how long?
Oh, you got me on that one. We'll have to get Amy on that.
Well,
Good
it depends on which nut, but we did almonds over the weekend, and I did them at about 325 for, I think I started out with 12 minutes and then put them in a little bit longer. So it just kind of depends on, if you're doing smaller ones like pumpkin seeds or something, it wouldn't take as long, but you can just do a quick search. And then I always do it a little bit less and then take them out and stir them around and then stick them back in.
Thanks,
Thank
Pam.
you, Pam.
That's good. All right. So moving on from there, refined flour products, obviously looking at donuts, cakes, and cookies, white rice and pasta. So these are clearly processed. Wheat and other gluten-containing grains should be minimized. We encourage you to avoid that altogether. You want to move towards grasses like quinoa, amaranth, and brown rice isn't necessarily a grass, but it is a healthier option, rice option. Wild rice is a grass. So these are really good options for meals. Ready-made meals, pickles, salad dressings, and sauces are on the avoid list. Using apple cider vinegar and olive oil with lemon are healthier options to help dress up meals and salads. Then we get into the meat and dairy category. So milk, butter, and other dairy products should be kept to a minimum. So it looks like they're a little bit lenient, but what we would encourage as much as possible to avoid that that category altogether. So any dairy or milk we want to be avoiding. For many people, cow dairy is difficult to digest and can impede the process of detoxification. So we want to keep that in mind and avoid those. Red meat can be fattening and add to the toxic load. Better protein sources would be fish, beans, and legumes. So one of the ones that I really enjoy, my mom used to make a lot of, were the what were those called? Man, it just went off my mind. No, it was was that?
The edamame?
No, they were lentils. Lentils. She would make a lot of different lentil dishes. Lentils, it can be made a lot of different ways, and they're rarely nutritious. And so
that's in the Trinity Diet book in chapter 11, and then there's also some healthy rice muffins in there. So rice as a clean grain could be an alternative. Those muffins are amazing. You remember those?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I have a question, Jason.
Yes, go ahead. Is that you, Maritza? Oh, Stella. Okay.
My cousin's on a very strict non-dairy, and I know I was at her house, and she has a butter. She says it's non-dairy. So is that okay?
Yes, I believe that you can use that. What is that called? I think y'all have some, right, Dad?
What's it called?
The non-dairy butter, like
Ghee.
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 Yeah.
Ghee.
Right. That's
Or
right.
also,
Yeah, that's what I put on my my steel cut oats. That's absolutely delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have they skim off the fat. Tastes like butter, but it's definitely not. It is really a clean anti-inflammatory fat, but easy to digest.
different brands do have a definite difference in taste.
Mm.
And there's one of them also that contains turmeric.
Okay. Thank you, Stella. All right. So caffeine. Now this one's a really challenging one here. Caffeine, both regular and decaf, black teas, sodas, and other drinks containing caffeine should be avoided. Green tea, which does have a little bit of naturally occurring caffeine, ginger tea and herbal teas are better substitutes. So those have a little bit more antioxidants that balance, the effect of any maybe trace levels of caffeine that are in there with the herbs. It is essential that you stay well hydrated. So caffeine, hydration comment is under the caffeine question because caffeine obviously is very dehydrating. So you stay well hydrated during the complete detox process. Drinking pure water all day is recommended. Freshly squeezed lemon or lime is a simple alkalizing addition to your water. Avoiding alcohol during the 30-day detox and high amounts of table salt. Now, table salt is different than sea salt, like Celtic sea salt or Himalayan, the pink salt. Those are very different. Those are mineral, a variety of mineral rich in those salts. But the table salt is pretty acidic because it takes out those varieties of minerals. So that's kind of a quick read through on the foods to avoid list. And then one of the things I'd like to do real quick here.
Jason?
Yes, ma'am.
On the salts there, what is it about, you said the table salt takes away the minerals. Okay. Minerals are very good.
Right.
Why do you want to take the minerals away?
We don't. We're avoiding table salt.
Oh, okay. Okay, I transposed it in my mind. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, yeah. We want to get the variety of minerals. So we're avoiding the table salt, which takes out the minerals. So we're taking that out. And we encourage doing that all together for the rest of your life, moving towards the Celtic salts and the Himalayan, those ones that have varieties of different minerals in it.
Okay, and those are the two that I strictly use, but I have one
Good.
more stevia question. In that, I've been using stevia strictly for at least a decade, and you can buy it in the white version, and it is kind of hard to find. But then the white version means that it's been gone through processing, and now the green version, which is the pure form, it it can have a little bit of a licorice taste. But my question is, on the white version of granules of the stevia, is that safe to eat because of its processing?
It's a very good question. A quick comment I would make would be I would minimize the white and try to avoid it altogether. Any sort of I guess you could say sugar or salt that is white in color, you want to minimize or avoid. Now, if there is it's basically taking out pigments that actually add health value, and other minerals that add, color and health value to a food or nutrient. And so you want to minimize or remove as much of that as possible. While it is a better option, stevia itself is a better option. Still, you're kind of on a good point. The processing that it goes through is going to minimize the health value. Yes. So try to move a little bit away from the more refined stevia options. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good question.
Jason,
Yes, ma'am.
how about this new thing that's I've seen, and I got it's called it's a form of honey, Manuka.
Manuka.
Manuka. Is that
I'm not familiar with Manuka. Steve, are you familiar with Manuka?
Yeah, Manuka honey has become popular. It apparently has some healthier ingredients that the bees harvest from where they get their nectar. And so honey in general is okay, but you must use it very sparingly because it is a sugar. It's not refined, but it is, and it's got some other nutrients that are in it, which are great, the minerals and things that we can use in moderation.
Thank you.
So on to the food effects chart. You all received one at the meeting. Definitely utilize this when you're pulling together meals and planning your menus as a resource and an option for choosing different foods and looking. During this detox, you might end up trying new foods, and be open to that. That's one of the things that is a healthy habit to get into is, and I say new foods, new fruits, new vegetables, new legumes or pulses or root vegetables. There's a lot of foods out there that just we ourselves kind of get in our own ruts, and we kind of lose out on those different varieties of foods and trying those different varieties. So take it as, trying different things in your meals as you're going through the detox to enjoy different tastes. And so one of the things that I'm noticing here is over in the bean, vegetable, legume, pulse, and root category on the alkaline side. It's heavy. There's a big list of stuff here, and a lot of stuff maybe that we don't regularly eat. So we've got, as I mentioned, lentils. There's daikon or taro root. I don't think that's a common consumed food. There's, let's see here. We've got some other parsnips is probably not a regular. And then we've got collard greens, eggplant, jicama. There's a lot of different things here. So I would definitely look into it. And then more in the same category on the acid side, but less acid, we've got spinach, zucchini, rhubarb, and chutney. I believe that's chutney. So there's some neat options here. So I would definitely look into it. And as a reminder, the balance that we're looking for during the detox program, as well as you can. So we're estimating a little bit, but we're going to be choosing 80% of our options from the alkaline side and 20% of our options from the acid side. And still we're avoiding the red meats and the dairy. So there's red meats options and dairy options on this acid side, but we're still sticking to the foods to avoid list. So we want to remember that when we're looking on the acid side. So these two things are going to really help us compile a good rotation during the detox. And something that is going to make it easy for you is to have a rotation. The best rotation that I've heard about is about a 3-day rotation. You can go longer to have more variety, maybe a 4-day rotation or more. But a 3-day rotation is kind of doable. It's essentially 9 meals that you're making up, and then a few snacks in between. And then I'll make a comment there real quick. The powders to help with the snacking is something to keep in mind as well. But 3-day rotation, essentially 9 meals, right? 3 breakfasts, 3 lunches, 3 dinners, and very simple. So one of the things that I would like to kind of do real quick here is just go through how we might do this in a day. And I'm very simplistic, right? I'm pretty easygoing. So, one morning I might have a couple eggs, right? Now that's on the acid side. That's going to take up a lot of my acid option for the day. So I need to keep that in mind. And then I'll probably have some grapefruit with my breakfast, maybe some strawberries. And then for a lunch option, I'll probably have some legumes, maybe some beans, black beans or pinto beans with maybe some avocado. Okay. And then I'll probably have a mid-afternoon shake, maybe around 4, with some flaxseed oil and maybe some apple and almonds. And then for dinner, we'll get in maybe a little bit of salmon, quinoa, and some broccoli or artichoke. Broccoli and some artichoke with the salmon and asparagus. So that I'm just kind of piecing this together and kind of showing you how I'm making it pretty simple, but this is kind of how you do it. You look at the menu, you see what options are available, how you can kind of piece together a nice breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you just do that for 3 days and you can rotate through it. Now, as you're going through and you kind of have this 3-day plan, maybe you're going through a 3-day and you're like, hey, let me think about creating another day. And so set a plan for 3 days. I would encourage that. But then as you're going through it, you can still have the option of creating more days in there and more variety and mixing it up a little bit. So I would definitely encourage as best as you can to set 3 days. And then, as you go through it, you'll be able to add more days. Now, you did get, from my understanding, and you can, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, you did get a 15-minute menu planning session that you can utilize with a Nutrition and Health Center clinic, and they can kind of maybe sit down and get even more specific with you if you want kind of that assistance. And I'd imagine, is that safe to say, Steve, that they'd be able to set that up and get a?
Yeah, contact the office and set that up with Bethany. and just let them know when you set it up what you're doing. That 15 minutes was a part of the detox seminar that we did.
Great. Now, I would encourage you all to take advantage of that. Whether or not you can get into the office, you can get on the phone or do a video conference or something. Whether or not that person can give you options, just the fact that you can discuss it and brainstorm with another person specifically about your menu is going to be really valuable. So I would take advantage of that as much as you can.
Jason, I have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned making a smoothie in between your meals as a snack. What kind of protein powder would you guys recommend?
All right, that's a good question. We'll use this opportunity actually for you, Steve, to talk about that, to talk about the powders right now. So can you go into detail about the powders for a moment?
So the powders that we prefer are the rice and pea based protein powders. We have some that are pumpkin based as well. They're a vegetarian, so they're low acid. Anytime you use a powder and you need the extra protein has nitrogen in it, and it does create slight acidity, but it's a better route to go, and that's what we're doing, my wife and I. We have a low cost formula called Perfect Protein pea rice, and it only has 3 grams of carbs in it. So you get 20 grams of protein with it. And some people may only sell it for you. You may only need 1 scoop in the afternoon. It's extremely creamy, and it comes in a vanilla and a chocolate. Some people are sensitive to chocolate. This is a very fine grade of Dutch chocolate, and so it's really pure quality. So if you are sensitive to chocolate, you would probably not be sensitive to this one. So we encourage the Perfect Protein. Now there's one that it's similar to the Perfect Protein, but it has vitamins and minerals added to it, more B vitamins for metabolizing energy in the muscle, and it's called Advanced Protein. So those two are preferable. They're inexpensive, 1 to 2 scoops, depending on your basal metabolic rate, which is usually determined by our in-body machine. Most of you have had that done, and that's how Bethany can set up the calories that you need each day with your menu plan.
Thank you.
Some of the other proteins actually that have the pea rice in it are Ultra Clear Renew and Ultra Clear Plus, and they're pretty mild detox support as well. So if you use them, they're more expensive, and you already have detox support during this time, so you don't necessarily have to use those. I use a little bit of Ultra Clear Plus. I have 1 scoop a day.
And I'll mention another one that the office doesn't carry regularly, but they can order it, is the Perk Plant Powered Protein. And Dr. Jaffe's designed that one recently, and it's pretty synergistic with the detox program, and it has a chocolate and vanilla flavors. So if you guys want to contact the office and see if they can order it for you, it might take a few days to get it in, but something you could try too as an option along with this.
Yeah, we order regularly from Perk, and you're certainly welcome when you're in the office. We do have that in the cabinet, and we can give you samples to try it.
Okay, so we've got a few minutes here. I've just notified by my program here that our meeting is going to end in a few minutes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you as soon as we're done here with this last section that we're going to cover, then with the exercise strategies, then I'm going to send you another meeting invite real quick because, yeah, it's a little bit short, but I'm going to send that to you real quick here afterwards. So Okay, so exercise strategies. What I would encourage you all to do is at least do walking every day. Pam and Clark Austin have shared with me that they like to do walking every morning, and I think that's a great thing, great example. And I would try, if you can, there's actually studies that have been connected to elderly and their ability to maintain health and avoid falling and hurting themselves, a connection between that and their ability to walk backwards. And so I would encourage you all, it's something I've been studying and learning about recently, to try to implement at least a few minutes of backwards walking in your, about 3 days a week. You could do it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If you do that 3 days a week, 10 minutes or 15 minutes, 3 days a week, in 2 years, you'll cover 300 miles. And so that's something that I would encourage you guys to consider. So walking, and then maybe implementing a little bit of backwards walking. And how
a couple of things, Jason, with that. Jason trained me this morning. I train with him once a week, and y'all are certainly welcome to set up a training time with him if you want to have him do a functional movement screen, and also then help you and guide you on different functional exercises. In fact, there's 3 other people that are in this group that actually train with Jason on a periodic basis, either once a week or once a month. And so the benefit, he actually created some resistance and put a band around my waist and had me walk backwards for 8 minutes. And it was difficult because he was resisting me. So he's pulling pressure with this band. But when he let go after the 8 minutes and I started walking forward, I felt like the Energizer Bunny. My legs were just springing. It's remarkable the things that he learns, because this is his passion. He studies the physiology of exercise and movement of the body. And I'm just very grateful for you, Jason. That was just, every time he shows up, I'm like, oh, this is probably going to, you think in your mind that he can't come up with something new, and he does it again. I'm just in awe.
Yeah, and I will second that. He's really great, and he has really good knowledge and skills.
Yeah, I'll third it. In fact, Clark and I did the walking backwards a little bit, not 15 minutes. And I was sore the next day, and it's not as easy as it sounds. In fact, I was like, okay, you hold on to me because I feel like I'm gonna fall over. And so that's what we would do. And you feel like you're walking fast, but you're not, like you're taking little baby steps. So it's definitely something to work on, and, you know, have a goal to be able to do the 15 minutes.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that feedback. That's all right. Let's see here. Are y'all hearing me okay? Okay. Yeah. So I appreciate that feedback. Definitely consider it. And then we've got like 1 minute. All right. I'm about to send you this meeting via email. Another thing that I would encourage you guys to look at is the Joy in Living the Alkaline Way guidebook. Download that. There's a section that shows you different gentle exercises and stretches that you can start doing. So the Joy in Living the Alkaline Way guidebook, that section. And I'm going to invite you to the next meeting here in just a minute. Just give me a second, and I'm going to forward that to you.
Jason, I'll have to log off right at one o'clock. So I'll
Gotcha.
Okay.